Good afternoon, everyone. I just had to check the clock to check the time. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna English. This is English Like a Native, and today we are looking at your English speaking. We're doing English pronunciation, specifically British English pronunciation, and we're going to try a new technique, which is shadowing. You might have seen this from other teachers. It's quite a common technique. But we're going to give it a go today and see if it works for us, for our little community here. So as always, I have prepared some notes for you. Now, the words I've chosen to look at particularly today for our pronunciation come from my Instagram followers. If you're not already following me on Instagram, I do a lot of pronunciation work on Instagram. So if pronunciation is important to you, you can find me on Instagram, British English Pro. Unfortunately, someone else had English Like a Native. So I am British English Pro on Instagram, and I do lots of pronunciation work there. So make sure you join me there. Of course, it's free, so there's no reason why not. So the words I've taken today specifically are from my students on Instagram, but you are free to ask me the pronunciation of any word as we go through. Now, first we're going to do some shadowing. So first of all, we'll do shadowing to really work on the flow of your English so that we start to sound natural when we're speaking English, get the melody. And then once we've done a little shadowing, we'll move on to specific word pronunciation. And that's when I'll open it up so that you can also offer suggestions of words or phrases that you struggle to say. Okay? So hold on to those suggestions until I open it up to everybody, and then jump on in and let me know. Okay? Fantastic. Right, so I do have my patrons here as well, so patrons, feel free to write in the Skype room, okay? And let's get started with the notes. So, pronunciation and shadowing. Now, the first practice. Practice reading while listen to this example at the same time. So I'm going to read it and I want you to just listen to how I phrase it, okay? So read along at the same time. This morning I skipped breakfast, which I'm told is bad for my health. Apparently breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but the problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Okay, I'm going to read it one more time, so just listen to the flow. If there are any words you're unsure of, please ask me. Just ask me in the comment section and I'll try and help you. But just listen one more time, listen very carefully. This morning I skipped breakfast, which I'm told is bad for my health. Apparently, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but the problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Okay, so let me just bring you back up. Show you my face again. Hello, hi. Okay, so this is just a little paragraph that I wrote this morning. I thought it was better to do a natural paragraph rather than a poem because poetry has its own flow. Poetry has its own unique rhythm, and so I thought it was better to do just a random phrase, bunch of sentences that we're more likely to say. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to read it together again. I want you to start getting used to reading along with me. This is how shadowing works. You get used to a piece of text and then you read it at the same time. Okay, so this time I'm actually going to read slower. I'm going to put gaps in. So I'll say it and I want you to repeat it and try and get the exact same melody as I do. So I'll say a sentence, you repeat. Now, what I've done is I've broken this up into phrases rather than sentences, and I've marked each phrase with a slash. So every time you see a slash, I'll wait and you repeat the sentence I've just said. Okay, so let's jump on to this version. So listen and repeat. This morning I skipped breakfast. Your turn. Which I'm told is bad for my health. Now there should be a little slash there. Apparently, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But the problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Great. All right, guys. So that's kind of shadowing, but it's more mimicking. That's more imitation. You're mimicking what I've just said. So now we're going to go into shadowing. And what happens here is I'm going to say the sentence and I want you to say it at the same time. Okay, so I'm not going to put big gaps in this time. I want you to try and say it at the same time as me. Okay? And for those of you who are unsure, I am British English, so we are working on British English pronunciation, okay? Just in case you're unsure about that. All right, so reading at the exact same time as me, let's go into it. Are you ready? This morning I skipped breakfast, which I'm told is bad for my health. Apparently, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but the problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Now you'll notice where I previously paused on these marks here, on these slash marks, I always naturally put a pause anyway. So this is a natural phrase. And these are connecting words here. And I'm stopping at the connecting words quite a lot of the time. But, which. I even do a little pause when I say and. Just to make sure that you're connecting all the clauses, I naturally add a little pause on either side. Okay, and have you noticed yet the difference in the intonation? Whether my voice is rising or falling. When I use a question mark, so when I'm asking a question, my voice rises up. But in every other sentence, my voice starts high and then falls down. This morning I skipped breakfast. This morning I skipped breakfast. But then in the question I said, did you have breakfast this morning? Did you have breakfast this morning? Of course, I'm slightly over-exaggerating the change, but we always have this rising intonation on a question and generally a falling intonation on statements. It's very different in that respect to an American accent. American accents tend to include a lot more rising towards the ends of sentences. Okay, so how are you all getting on? Okay, guys, just remember that this is attended by children as well as adults, so please keep your comments clean, and let's not be name calling or saying anything horrible about anyone else or any other accents or anything like that. Okay, just keep it all nice and friendly. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to just point out as we go through now some weak forms. So we've covered weak forms before in other lessons, and now I'm going to point out some of the very obvious weak forms. Now some words, as you may or may not know, have a strong form pronunciation and a weak form pronunciation. For example, the word for. This is for you. F-O-R. In its strong form we say for. In its weak form we say f. For, f. For, f. Okay, so I've highlighted in orange the weak forms that I definitely use as a weak form within the phrase, within the paragraph. And also now let's really think about that intonation that we've just talked about. So we're going to do it one more time. We're going to look at those weak phrases that are coming through, those weak forms, sorry. And yeah, there you can see they're highlighted, you see? All right, so this morning I skipped breakfast, which I'm told is bad for my health. See, I say for, but my. I don't say me. I don't make this one a weak form this time. I say it's bad for my health, for my health, for my health. So really change that. For my health. It's bad for my health. It's bad for my health. Apparently, breakfast is the. Now, the reason I've highlighted the is because the can be pronounced as the or the. And there's a very, very strict rule about when you use the stronger pronunciation of the. But in this case, and in this case, we're using the weak form the. So apparently breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So rather than saying of the day, we'd say of the day, of the day. But the problem is that, so we're making this a schwa, that. The problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And here I tend to use the weak form because what I do is take away the D. I say, and if I force myself to eat, and if. So I'm taking away that D sound. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Okay, so let's try that one more time, remembering those weak forms. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. This morning I skipped breakfast, which I'm told is bad for my health. Apparently, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But the problem is that I just don't feel hungry when I first wake up. And if I force myself to eat, then I end up feeling sick. Did you have breakfast this morning? Okay, so there we go. Right, let me have a look and see what's going on with you guys. Hello patrons, hello Eva, hello Vivian, and hello to my new patron. And I don't know how to pronounce your name correctly, but I'll give it a go. Olubusolo? Oh, Sola? Oh, please correct me on how to pronounce your name. And I hopefully will get that right. So forgive me for that one. And hello to everyone in the YouTube chat room. Do I have any newbies here? Is there anyone here who hasn't seen a live session before? It would be great to welcome you. And oh bless, I've seen a super chat has come through. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Okay, let me try and say this. Zul. Bazel. Zulbazel? Is that right? Have I said that correctly? Zulbazel. Well, thank you very much for your kind donation. And as you sent a super chat, you will get a copy of the notes. All you have to do is just drop me a message in my inbox. My email address is at the bottom of the description here. So if you have sent a super chat, then just email me and I will send you a copy of the notes as a way of saying thank you. Okay, lots of you chatting away in the chat room. Some of you having to leave, some of you just joined. Hola, Melissa. Hello. Lots of you here. Bon dia. New from Greece is Isadora. Hello, Isadora. Vanity, I love your accent. Thank you very much. Mustafa is new here. Fantastic. Welcome. It's my first time joining your live lesson, says Marley. Hello and welcome. I want to know the meaning of adios. Adios is Spanish and it means goodbye. Hello, Daniel. Thank you very much. Very, very kind. All right, so we're going to carry on with some shadowing and we'll come to pronunciation of individual words after the next practice. So now we know what to do. We're going to do one more practice run of a different paragraph and then we'll come on to individual words. Now, if you are here for the first time, please make sure you're a subscriber and you press the bell notification button. And those of you who have been here for a long time, you know what to do. Please give me some love by giving this video a thumb up. If you do like it at this time, then give me lots of likes, and the more likes I get on the live lessons, then I know which ones are the most popular. So I know when to be live again. All right, so let's jump over to the next paragraph. What have we got? Okay, here we go. Read it along with me. Have you heard the new schedule? We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday, which means we can't attend band practice. I can't believe it. What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So I guess the only option we have is to talk to the teacher about it. What do you think? Okay, let's have that one more time. Have you heard the new schedule? We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday, which means we can't attend band practice. I can't believe it. What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So I guess the only option we have is to talk to the teacher about it. What do you think? Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense to you. If there are any words that you're unsure of, do just try and drop it into the message chat room and I will try to answer for you. Oh bless, another message, another super chat has come through, but the message has been retracted and I'm not sure who it's from, but whoever it's from, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Just drop me an email and I'll send you the notes so that you have a little something for me to say thank you with. Yeah, so some of you are noticing that I'm not always pronouncing the final plosives, K's and T's at the ends of words, and that's true. We do tend to drop the final plosives. It depends on the sentence, really. Justin, wow, goodness me. Hello, Justin. You've dropped a super chat. Thank you very much. Very, very kind of you. If you do drop a super chat, you can write a message in the super chat as well, so your message stands out. So don't be afraid to drop a message. All right, so let's go and have a look at where the pauses are naturally in that phrase. So we've got, have you heard the new schedule? And listen to that rising intonation. It goes up at the end because it's a question. Have you heard the new schedule? Pause. We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday. Which, now here I haven't put a pause afterwards. I'm just going straight into it because there's a sense of urgency in what I'm saying. Which means we can't attend band practice. Pause. I can't believe it. Pause. What should we do? Rising intonation. What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we'll fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So, connecting word. So, I guess the only option we have, suspension, is to talk to the teacher about it. What do you think? Okay, so now I want you to copy me. So imitation here now, guys. I will say the sentence up to the pause point and I want you to repeat it, okay? Here we go. Have you heard the new schedule? We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday. Which means we can't attend band practice. I can't believe it. What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we'll fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't be excuse me. Then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So, I guess the only option we have is to talk to the teacher about it. What do you think? Okay, well done, guys. Really well done. Okay, so what's going on? Would it be possible for you to ask? Would it be possible for you to ask how to change your twang as you do? As far as I'm aware, you're from the north, aren't you? Yes, I am from the north of England, and I changed my accent. And yes, part of that was to change the placement of my voice as well. And it's just through doing things like this, through shadowing, imitating, lots of listening. It's not that difficult to change your accent. You just have to really want it and to really tune in with your ears every time you're hearing someone speaking in the kind of accent and in the language that you want to achieve. Okay, so I'm just going to now do the last little section of this shadowing. We're going to move on to the actual shadowing phase. We're going to look at the weak forms within that paragraph. And also, I want to point out the very last time I say, what do you think? I don't use the weak form of you. Now, normally, you'd say, what do you think? What do you think? And even do becomes a little weak. What do you think? It becomes j. What do you think? What do you think? But in this case, I'm really emphasizing that I want to know what their plan of action would be. What do you think we should do? I'm not saying generally, what do you think? What does everyone think? I'm saying, what do you think we should do? So because I'm emphasizing that I want to know what your plan would be in this situation, then I'm using the stronger form. So the strong form always falls on a stressed syllable. Okay, so I'm stressing you, and so we have to use the strong form. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's try shadowing this time, looking at those weak forms. So this time you're going to copy me exactly at the same time, okay? All right, sorry about all the coughing. So, are you ready? Here we go. Have you heard the new schedule? Have you heard the new schedule? We now have a class. Oh, sorry, that was Northern. Class. We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday. Notice these weak forms. At. We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday. I'm going to do every line twice, by the way. Which means we can't attend band practice. I can't believe it. Missing off that T. I can't believe it. What should we do? What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we'll fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't. And because I got another strong and plosive sound here, I'm ignoring that T. We won't be able to play in the recital next summer. Then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So, I guess the only option we have is to talk to the teacher about it. Is to talk to the teacher about it. So I'm hitting both of those T's at the end there. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, hopefully that is working all right for you. We're going to do it once through now without stopping. I just want to say another huge thank you to Justin, who's dropped another super chat. It's very generous of you. And you've said, I'm a native English speaker, but I never knew about strong and weak forms, even though I've been using them all my life. This is really interesting. Yeah, Justin, you're proving my point very, very strongly there. Natives don't know these rules. Even I didn't know them until I started teaching them. We just do it automatically. So thank you for pointing that out. All right, everyone, let's read it once through all together from the start. Here we go. Have you heard the new schedule? We now have a class. We now have a class at 5:30 every Friday, which means we can't attend band practice. I can't believe it. What should we do? If we skip the class altogether, then we'll fail the exams. But if we miss band practice, then we won't be able to play in the recital next summer. So I guess the only option we have is to talk to the teacher about it. What do you think? All right, guys, apologies. That was a little bit jumpy. It's very difficult running these sessions because you have so much going on. So I'm trying to read, I'm trying to highlight, I'm trying to catch your messages at the same time, and then something went ping. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you're still finding this very, very helpful. Okay, so now we're going to move on to words that you find difficult. Now, like I said, on Instagram, which is where I do a lot of pronunciation work, I did ask what words you guys struggle with, and you came back with a whole list of words. Some of them I covered already on Instagram, and some I'm going to cover right now. If I do have any of my Instagram followers in right now, big shout out to you guys. Thank you for following me there. I do enjoy my Instagram posting and the conversations that we have there. So if you now watching haven't previously suggested a word, but there's something you want me to help you with, write it in the comments now, and we'll start going through them. Okay. So here we go. The first word that you asked me to help you with was a furry little animal, and it's the animal a squirrel. A squirrel. Squirrel. And I've given this, I've written this little tongue twister to help you with this one. And the tongue twister is: a squinting squid, which is an animal from the sea. A squinting squid saw a squirrel in peril. A squinting squid saw a squirrel in peril. Let's have a look at our mouth shapes when we're making this sound. So we have a squ, squ. It's like a W follows, squ. Squinting, and to squint is to make your eyes small, like you're trying to see something and you're trying really hard. You do that. Normally if someone needs glasses, they will squint. You can tell they need glasses because they're squinting at everything. A squinting squid saw a squirrel. A squirrel. A squirrel. And it ends with that dark L, so the tongue tip has to come up to the roof of the mouth. Squirrel, squirrel. It's just hidden because I'm making the R as well. A squinting squid saw a squirrel in peril. If you're in peril, then you're in trouble. You're in danger. Okay? Hopefully none of you have ever been in peril. Okay, so the next one is the word comfortable. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can say this. You can either say 3 syllables, comfortable, comfortable, or you can say it with 4 syllables, comfortable, comfortable. But notice on both examples, I do not pronounce the letter R. Comfortable. or comfortable. Most of us just use 3 syllables. It's easier that way. So let's have a look at it written. Comfortable. And I've written this little tongue twister for you to help with those bull sounds. We've got comfortable, culpable vegetables are unsuitably unforgettable. Don't worry about this making sense. It does kind of make sense, but it's also nonsense. So don't worry about it. Just use the words. Comfortable, culpable vegetables are unsuitably unforgettable. Or if we're going to do it with 4 syllables, comfortable, culpable vegetables are unsuitably forgettable. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So the next one was hill versus hell, and this is the difficulty with the short vowels. Hill, hell, I, eh, I, eh. And let me just show you the mouth shape on this. So I, the tongue, the back of the tongue is quite high. I. It's stuck up onto the roof of the mouth almost. Ill, hill. But then you can see there's space. The tongue isn't touching the top of the mouth. It's high, but it's not touching. That's the difference. Hill, a mound of earth, a hill, and hell, heaven and hell. It was hell. And the example tongue twister that I've written for you is, let me put an S on that. Hills in hell are hellishly hilly. Hills in hell are hellishly hilly. Hills in hell are hellishly hilly. Hopefully that's nice and helpful for you. Okay, then we have another one using the same 2 vowel sounds, the high tongue I in pin and the slightly less high tongue position in pen. And the example sentence I've given here for pin versus pen is, Ben's sin was to bin a pen, and the bin men pinned the pen binning on Ben. If you struggle to understand this, don't worry too much. It's just saying that Ben threw away a pen. He binned a pen. To bin something, you can use this as, it's usually a noun, but you can use it as a verb to say to throw something in the rubbish, to throw something away. And his sin, the bad thing that he did, was to throw away a pen. And the bin man, or the bin men, plural, the bin men, the men who collect the rubbish to take it away, pinned the pen binning, so they knew, they found out, they accused and were correct that it was Ben that threw away the pen. Okay, so that's what it means. Ben's sin was to bin a pen, and the bin men pinned the pen binning on Ben. Tough one, hey. I enjoyed writing that one, actually. Okay, so just so you can see that, you've got pin, pin, and a writing instrument, a pen. Pen. Look at the space. Pin, a pinprick, a pin, pen. Pen. Okay, so the next words that I have are distinguished and distinguishable. Now, if someone is distinguished, you could say it's kind of refers to a level of respectability, and I usually think they're very well dressed. If they are distinguished, they are respectable. They've probably done something notable, like they probably have a doctorate, or they're very well educated in some form, or they've been honoured. They're distinguished. They're very important people. But to be distinguishable or to distinguish means to set apart, to be able to see something as different to another. So what distinguishes me? What are my distinguishable features or my distinguishing features? I have long hair. You might have a birthmark. You might have a tattoo. And those are your distinguishing features. These make you different to other people so that people can tell it's you because of your distinguishing features. You could say that someone has a distinguishable voice. Okay, so their voice sounds very different, and as soon as you hear it, you know who is speaking. We all have friends like that. And the example sentence I've given for this quite unique word is, Despite his distinguishable and suitably distinguished attire, he was undistinguishable from the extinguisher. And an extinguisher is a fire extinguisher. So an object, a tool that puts out fires. You pick it up. It's normally in every building. You'll have a fire extinguisher in every public building. And you spray it on a fire if a fire breaks out. So despite his distinguishable and suitably distinguished attire, he was undistinguishable from the extinguisher. So he must have been wearing something red. Okay, so the next one is full versus fool. This is a short sound and it is difficult. This is a long oo sound, so we want to have rounded lips. Full, fool. Both of them require a dark L, which I know is difficult for many students. All. The example sentence I've given is a drooling fool with a bag full of wool. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Even though this has got the same letters in, it's a completely different sound. We don't say wool like fool, we say wool like full. So this is where English becomes completely frustrating and confusing. A drooling fool with a bag full of wool. A drooling fool with a bag full of wool. If you drool, it means that you're like dribbling. Saliva is coming out of your mouth and you're like, a drooling fool, drool fool, with a bag full of wool. So look at the difference in my shape. Fool, full, fool, full. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, we have 4 more, and then I can look at what you guys are asking me on YouTube, and I can drop into my patrons chat room as well. So the next one is the difference between 3 words, so, and saw. Let's have a look at them, shall we? So, we have so. And this is exactly the same as the word sow. Lots of people trip up on this. To sow is to either plant seeds into a field. A farmer will sow his seeds. And so it's exactly the same pronunciation. Or you can sew with a needle and thread. When you mend clothes with a needle and a thread, you're sewing. Sewing. Sow and sew. But they are both very different to the word saw. It's a completely different placement. Oh, and it's also a long vowel, whereas these 2 words are diphthongs. Oh, oh. Can you hear the movement? Oh, so. And this one, saw, saw. There's no movement. So, here is the example sentence. Sophie saw a sewing machine, so she stayed to sew. Sophie saw a sewing machine, so she stayed to sew. Fantastic. I'm just going to show you my mouth shape on that one, just so that you have it clear. So and so, oh, so. And saw, I saw, saw. I make a big space inside the mouth and the sound is very far back. Or. So, saw, so, saw. Okay, so the next words are time and time. So time, we're talking about what time is it now, the time of day. And then we have time like the herb. You put thyme into your cooking. Maybe if you're cooking lamb or a tangine or something, you might put thyme. I'm not a fabulous cook, so I don't really know what you would use with thyme and thyme. Justin has sent me a correction. Thank you, Justin, and another super chat. You're very, very kind. Indistinguishable, not undistinguishable. Fair enough. They're not words that I use very often, so I will change that in the notes. And thank you very much for pointing that out. I can't remember how many words there are exactly in the English language, but it's thousands and thousands. It's one of the biggest, not the biggest language, but one of the biggest languages in the world. with a constantly changing and growing vocabulary. And so we natives make mistakes all the time. We assume rules, but rules are always broken, and sometimes we just make up words. So thanks for that correction. It certainly doesn't bother me to be corrected, because we only get better by making mistakes. Okay, so if I'm not afraid to make mistakes, then you guys shouldn't be either. Okay, so we're moving on from time versus time. The example sentence I gave for that one is, this time add time. And notice they have exactly the same pronunciation. This time add time. This time add time. Okay, and we're nearly at the end. We've just got these ones to cover, and then I'll come to your questions. Can versus cannot versus can't. So here we have the exact same vowel sound. Can, cannot, can, cannot. But here it changes completely to a long R sound. The jaw is dropped, the mouth is open. Can't. I can't. Very different to an American pronunciation. Okay, so here is the example sentence. Cat can. It's a type of dance. Lots of legs kicking in the air. I think it's French. Cat can, but cannot tango, and can't barn dance. Cat can, but cannot tango and can't barn dance. I hope that helps. And the last one on the list, paw versus purr. Now, in British English, these are now pronounced the same. It used to be in the old days that this one would be pronounced differently with a diphthong. Poor. But now it's just one long vowel sound, or. I'm poor, I pour the milk, and the cat purrs. So that's a different vowel. Or, pour, purr. And the example sentence is, the poor pussy cat purred and pawed as the milk was poured. So there's another word that sounds exactly the same as this one. That just means to use your paws. The cat's feet are paws, and you know when they kind of push against something and they stretch their feet through, that's pawing. So the poor pussycat purred and pawed as the milk was poured. So that's a tricky one, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to close those notes down now. I might actually add some of yours. Okay, so let me first go to my patrons, see what those guys are saying, and then I'll come back to my YouTube room and answer your questions. Hello, patrons. I've got Fabia in. Call me Lola. Fabulous. I'll call you Lola. I ate a big breakfast this morning, says Lizzie. Fabulous. Good. I always eat a big breakfast as well. In fact, I have a double breakfast. I have yogurt and fruit and a little muesli, and I also have a cooked breakfast, which is usually egg on toast, or this morning I had beans on toast with a little cheese. Alexander, what's the meaning of drooling? I remembered I watched a film where there were some very attractive ladies walking on the street and the word drooling was used. Okay, well, the word drooling, as I mentioned, means to dribble. So it's when saliva comes out of your mouth, but there's a difference between dribble and drool. If you dribble, a baby would dribble, or when you sleep, you might dribble. Do you dribble when you sleep? I do, I have to admit. But if you drool, it doesn't necessarily mean that saliva is actually coming out of your mouth. Sometimes it can just be used as an expression to mean that you are showing interest, like you're hungry. So you might drool when you see the pie coming out of the oven and it smells good. You might, oh, I'm drooling, my mouth is watering, I'm hungry for it. And similarly, if you see an attractive person walking down the street, then you might be like, oh, they're really attractive. And someone might say, stop drooling, because they can see that you want them, that you are attracted to them. You're drooling, okay? So, Lola, sorry, let's come back to your question. I saw something pop up. Could you please help me with the distinct mouth shape for the short vowels and the position of the articulators O and U? O and O. Lola, can you give me exact words, because there are a few different versions of the U sound in short vowels. So can you give me exact words that you're struggling with? But yes, the O sound, O. You'll notice my tongue is pushed down, O. My mouth is very round inside. It's like you could put a marble or a big ball inside my mouth and it would hold the shape of a round shape within the mouth. O. So it's big and it's also quite far back. O. Like you'd say on. The U sound, cut. Okay, so the sound, cut. Again, the sound is quite far back, but you see there's not such a big shape in the mouth. So you've got cot, big shape, cot, versus cut. And see how I naturally smiled to make that sound. So you have cot versus cut. Cot, o, cut, Okay, hope that helps. All right, let me jump over to my my viewers here on YouTube. Hi guys, have you all pressed the thumb? I hope so. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Let me scroll back a bit. Gosh. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is one of the words that has just come up there from Joe K. Quite a way back, I'm afraid. Sorry for your wait. But photosynthesis is what happens when plants turn sunlight into oxygen. If I remember my science lessons from a long time ago. But yes, it's pronounced photosynthesis. Make sure you get the tongue out for the TH. Photosynthesis. A tough one. Can you pronounce masochistic? Masochistic. Saba. Rural. It's a hard one. Rural. How do you pronounce the word mischievous? Miss, like a lady. Hang on, I always pronounce this wrong. Let me just remember. Mischievous. That's one that I always have to correct myself on, because I always say mischievous, but it's mischievous. Mischievous. 3 syllables. Mischievous. Okay. Familiarity. Hello in Brazil. Hello in Egypt. Oh, here's one that I struggle with too. February. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. February. I think it's supposed to have that extra R sound in it. February. But it makes you feel like you have a lisp. February. I'm going to look it up on Cambridge. So here's a trick for you guys. If you are ever unsure about a pronunciation, then usually if you go to either the Oxford or the Cambridge Dictionary, they will give you, in phonetics and sometimes also the recording as well of the word February. Yeah, they do have the R. No, but not always. Goodness, so this one gives me both the way I say it and with the R as well. Let me see. Is one more American? Interesting. Different people are saying different things. Okay, let's go with February with a R. I should work on that one too. February. February. There we go. February. That was the recording on Cambridge Dictionary there. Hopefully I won't get into trouble for playing that. Okay, let's move on. So that's 2 that I need to remember. Mischievous and February. The dark L most of the time yes, the dark L is mostly at the end of a word. You'll never find a dark L at the beginning of the word in a British English pronounced word. Which accent is better, British English or American English? There's no better accent. Different people will argue different. American is best because most people use American. Other people will say that British English is clearer, and Britain is where English came from in the first place, so it's the origin of the English language, blah, blah, blah. But really it's down to personal choice, which I think as long as you're clear, as long as people understand you, and you don't have to keep repeating yourself, then it doesn't matter. If you have a little bit of American, a little bit of British, that's absolutely fine. I think the most important thing is that you can be understood, firstly. Absolutely. Oh, no, that's not on that. You're just having a conversation. Let me see. More words. Give me some words, guys. Yes, The Crown on Netflix is a fantastic series where they all speak very, very posh. It's actually a very heightened RP accent in there, but it's very, very clear. Suggestion. Catch. You catch a ball. And caught. That has that long vowel that I talked about earlier with a big space inside the mouth. Or, but look how round my lips are. Caught. I catch the ball now. I caught the ball yesterday. I catch the ball now. I caught the ball yesterday. Colonel. Cologne. I think I'm completely misreading. So for those of you who don't know, I am actually dyslexic, and sometimes I look at a word and I can't understand it. Yes, Colonel. I just didn't recognise the way it was spelt then. Colonel. Wielding. To wield a knife or to wield a sword. Fuel. To fuel your mind, to fuel your car, to fuel your stomach. Fuel. Necessary. 4 syllables. Necessary. It's not necessary. Do you have an RP accent? I have a soft RP accent. I would just generally call it a standard accent. Can you please tell me a series or movies? I want a posh accent. Then you need to watch The Crown. The Crown is the best series for having a posh accent. Clothes. It's tough because you have that movement of the tongue from the TH to the S or Z sound. Vz. Clothes. Okay, I'm going to take a few more and then I'm going to let you go because we've been here for nearly an hour. Goodness me. Time flies when you're having fun. Want. I want it. Want. And won't. I will not. I won't. Want. Whoa. See how my mouth moves into another W sound. Won't. I won't do it. I want it. Want. Won't. Want. It's a good one. Carlos, I don't agree. You said girls with British accents look more sophisticated. I'd say sound, because if you're talking about the way they sound, then they sound more sophisticated. But you said that men sound a bit faggy. I don't agree. I think that a man with a standard, clear British accent comes across as well-educated, gentle. That's what you might be talking about, but I completely disagree. I think a real English gentleman, like an English prince, is a wonderful thing, and certainly not something to shy away from. Yes, it's always wonderful having a conversation with an English gentleman. A man who can articulate himself very well. Can you pronounce the word slowly? The word accept. Accept. See, I'm using like a K sound. Accept. Hope that helps. Oh gosh, it just all jumped down. Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Sorry, vulnerable. 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 I generally drop the L quite a lot actually. Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Literally and generally. Literally, generally. Make sure you smile into the end. Lots of people say literally, generally, and they don't do a full E when there's a Y, so make sure you do. Literally, generally. I lost where I was up to. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. Is made in Chelsea is a super posh accent. No, it isn't. Made in Chelsea is not super posh. No, it's a very strong accent, but it's not standard like RP sound. So if you're trying to sound posh, don't learn Made in Chelsea accents. Can you say he's best at it? He's best at it. There you go. What's the difference between maybe and probably? Maybe suggests that it might happen, there's a chance. Probably suggests there's more chance of it being the positive answer. Will you come to the party? Maybe. It's more 50-50. It's less possible. Maybe. I'm a bit tired. I don't really like anybody at the party. I don't know if I want to go. Maybe. Probably is more positive. It suggests that I'm very likely going to be there. Okay, but it's still not certain. Hope that helps. Gender. Gender. Failure. Failure. Oh, a good one I just saw was wander, like to walk around off the path that you were supposed to be on, to wander off. You tell your children, don't wander off. Wander and wonder. Whoa. They're very, very close in pronunciation. Wander, wonder. In fact, I need to check, actually, what the phonetic transcription is. That's an R, and wonder, I wonder. Yeah, they are different. Wonder, wander, wonder, wander. That is very tough, very tough. I wouldn't worry too much. The context will give that one away. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we've nearly hit an hour, so I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to my lovely patrons. I'm just going to answer these last questions with my patrons. So I've got one more question. Which one do I have to put in a sentence? Rather or quite? The flat is spacious. It has a large living room with a fireplace and a bright kitchen. There's only one bedroom, but it's... You can use either. I would go with quite. There's only one bedroom, but it's quite big. I would say quite. Feels more natural to me, but either would work perfectly well. Okay. It's rather big. It's quite big. Oh, that's difficult. I would say quite. Okay, hello. You want the pronunciation of the word prescription, and subscription. Prescription. Subscription. Okay, I hope that helped. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Just a very, very quick shout out to everyone who sent a super chat today. You guys are amazing. That's very, very generous. Don't forget, if you did drop a super chat today, then feel free to drop me an email. My email address is in the bottom of the description, and request the notes. I'll send them to you as my way of saying thank you. Patrons, of course, these will be dropped into the Patreon Dropbox, so they'll be available to all of you. Thank you, those of you who've been able to join me today. Thank you to everyone who suggested words and got involved with this lesson. Please do give it a thumb up. Share it with anyone you think will find it helpful. There is a new lesson coming out tomorrow, rather a risque lesson. One that might shock you initially, but one that's going to be helpful and hopefully enjoyable as well. So look out for that coming out tomorrow morning. Yes, tomorrow morning. I may as well just release it in the morning. Why not? And I'll be live again on Monday at 4 o'clock with more of those tricky phrasal verbs. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me. I will see you all soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love from London. Goodbye.